the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq 100. As we jump into these charts, let's just say, first of all, it's great to be back. Great to have you guys back here on the channel. Business as usual. We're bouncing obviously from those local lows we had back here in April. We marked this out on Twitter as well. You can see we're bouncing off that, getting back above the 200 SMA, breaking back above 19K. And I would argue the market is back into a bullish sense, arguably targeting back into those all-time highs roughly. Now, today we had some big news and interesting choice of words from the Fed come out. So this is the Fed Minutes, just a basically repeat breakdown of what the Fed was thinking, what was in their minds, what was happening. Now the title here is Fed Minutes point to a likely rate cut in September. I think there's actually more to be said here. You can actually go read along this and go read the Fed Minutes for yourself. The vast majority of participants at the July 30 to 31st meeting observed that if data continued to come in as it was expected and as it has been, it would likely be appropriate to ease policy. Now, in this specific article, they kind of don't do it justice because there was a vast majority of them voted that it would most likely be the case of where they had to start cutting. Very important to understand that. Almost half of them voted that they wanted to cut at this last meeting. So you're already seeing that path there. Now, on the other side of this is where things get more interesting, is what's really happening, not just the stock market, but broad markets as well. We look at the 30-year yield. Again, for the past few months, I would say for the past year, this has been one of the biggest things we've been tracking, getting back below 4% on the 30-year yield. Go to what's happening here with the 10-year yield, right? Obviously getting destroyed here as well, going straight down. But again, what you want to see, dropping back down, mortgage rates of what's happening there as well, right? You're seeing mortgage rates benefit coming right back down, yearly lows back down to 6.5%. We really look at what's happening. And this is the 30-year fix. You can go to FHA as well, but you can see that this most likely, when it gets below 6%, is going to start dropping even more quickly back down towards 5%. This will stimulate the market as well. These are things that we wanted to see happen. And this is what I was saying, even with what was happening with the Japan market and things like that, the overall U.S. stock market continues to look healthy. Now, I don't want to jump to a conclusion and say that, hey, elections are going to go amazing, and we're going to go straight through elections and go straight up. But I will say the market's in a very good position for whoever wins in the short term most likely will do very well based on what's happening with the housing market specifically. And the stock market most likely will follow what's happening with the housing market, in my opinion. Now, the other area here too is what's happening with oil. Again, oil continues to break down, or look like it wants to break down, operating below your 200 daily SMA, and then we go to your 200 weekly as well. That's your 100. Go to your 200 weekly. Below that as well, very weak. The oil continues to signal that side. And again, this goes back into what Fed Minutes were saying. If data continues to come out like it is, positive on inflation going down, deflation occurring, well, guess what? Oil's been one of the key indicators here. Even with oil trying to uptick, just can't do it. You have to assume that going into the end of the year, inflation data continues to look good overall for the market and continues to bolster us up. So those are big things that we're looking at right now. Last thing we'll look at here is the DXY. DXY coming down to your 200 weekly moving average as well, near $100 flat. That will be big. You have a pretty big test coming in here. Do you actually break below 100 flat here on the dollar, right? DXY. So if you break below this, it could get ugly. And again, I think we see yields, see a lot of that love as well. But again, the biggest thing I've been watching, guys, you've seen me mention it for over a year now, is the 30-year yield getting below 4% could be just pretty parabolic for the stock market. So big things we're looking at right now. Now, we're going to go more to equity, stocks, and everything in between. But first, I got to talk about a few things. On number one, Twitter, the link is down below. I recommend you guys follow. I'm back on there full time now. Again, we just had our son. He was born literally like 48 hours ago. We just moved into our brand new house as well. I've been swamped, but I'm ready to get back to work, and I'm actually excited to get back on the saddle. So again, follow for that content here to get all the tweets, everything like that, all the charts, what we're looking at stock-wise. It's all there for you. Make sure you tap in there. Now, the other part of this, I'm going to be going over options as well here on the channel, but I always want to give a shout out to the sponsor of the channel, and really happy to have these type of partnerships with Moomoo. Again, the link is down below so you can check them out. Actually, I've been working on their new app as well on my Mac while I was gone. So I'll be downloading that one because it actually looks even prettier than this one. But again, if you guys are interested in trading options, doing anything in the stock market, it's who I use for all my trades and who you'll see me use here on the channel. So let's get into business, right? Now, number one, we'll go quickly into SPY cues. In the Nasdaq, right? So SPY obviously pushing back into all-time highs. This is like I agree. It's kind of crazy, like for anyone out there. But that's why I was so adamant on Twitter and stuff, is like, you got to be buying this. I don't know what else to say. The trend is still clearly bullish as long as you're above the 200 SMA, etc. The same things we say on repeat all the time. So again, those are things that you kind of gotta love here. And so SPY is getting dangerously close, back in those all-time highs near 565. Crazy, but that's where you're at. You know, you go to Qs, and this is where the market looks even more interesting, because you know, Qs represent tech heavily, and a lot of the names that have carried us over the past 12 months, right? And when you look at what's happening specifically on Qs, I mean, it's kind of incredible, right? You still got around 20 points back in all-time highs on QQQ. But I mean, again, some of these names, like the names we were telling you about, NVIDIA, pushing back into highs. You know, AMD, we said this was on clearance, pushed up almost $30 from lows. You know, Apple bounced back from 200. Everyone said Buffett selling. Guess what? I tried to tell you guys, the Buffett selling was just a FUD report, guys. This is big bull, in my opinion, right? You know, Amazon getting back above the 200 SMA, you got above it, you went crazy. Like, these are the same things that we look for time and time again. So again, these are things that we like to see. So when I look at the Nasdaq and what's happening here, it kind of makes me happy because it puts us in a really good position to get that continuation and to actually see that path forward for getting and making the most amount of money, with the best opportunity there. So Nasdaq specifically, what we're looking for here. Jay mentioned this level in Discord, and if you're wondering in Discord why I wasn't there today, I was just getting everything set up. I just didn't want to jump halfway in and not have my mic. I had to go buy a new arm and stuff. So this is where you're at right now. 19.95. Jay's been really clear about it. Once you mount this level, I don't want to say you're going straight to all-time highs, but that's really where you're looking, because you start to get back in these illiquid zones, and as you can see here, there's just not much going on. You can see right above 19,095, 20,000 flat. I mean, there's nothing. There's just not a lot of resistance, not a lot of volume, and you're going to start cutting through that very, very easily. So again, worth mentioning, worth watching. You can just see where that level is right here as well, all basically right there. That's going to be your money zone from 20,000 basically into 20,400. Just cruise control from that point as well. So big things you're looking at there. We go into ES. I'll go into SPY and Qs as well, but yeah, ES basically back at highs, looks fantastic. Dow as well, pushing back up. IWM mounting back above 212.2, looks really good as well. These are all the things that you want to see. I can only say this so many times. These are the things you want to see over and over and over and over. And again, IWM, great report here, great bounce. That's what we want to see. So again, moving on from this, we've gone over a lot of the heavy stuff, dollar, yields, etc. Now, moving on from this point as well, I'm going to be really clear. I personally am still looking at a lot of these names, and a lot of people are asking, what are we doing as far as trading? And I said during this whole dip, where you're making a bulk of your money is going to be those, and for myself personally, was those deep in the money contracts. I said it over and over and over. Now I can go into all day about fixed mortgages and minutes and what the Fed is saying, this and that. End of the day, guys, you gotta make your own decisions, what you're gonna buy, what you're gonna sell, etc. I still think Apple looks amazing. I think Apple's looking to break back out above this level right here, 228, 227. Above that level, you're on cruise control, in my opinion, back into the all-time high as well. Okay, another big name I'm watching here is Microsoft, right? I think Microsoft actually is really being beat down based on what happened from CrowdStrike, et cetera. You need to get back above 430. Now, when I jump into Microsoft and when I'm looking at those contracts, this is one of those things that I do like a lot out there. So again, I think time is your best friend here when you're looking at some of these names. You're going to pay more of a premium with names like Microsoft, so you do know that. But I still think you get something like 450s, 440s, even for October, they make a lot of sense. And I don't think they cost that much. Just telling you, still think there's opportunity out there. And I don't think you're as volatile as these other names. Again, Microsoft, you can see you're definitely, look at that. Just look at the shot down that hit you just from CrowdStrike. And again, that wasn't really their fault. And they're still doing good on earnings. And I think they're going to benefit off of Apple's sales and what Apple's doing with the iPhone. So Microsoft, one of the biggest opportunities out there right now. Next up too, I like AMD a lot, getting back above the 200 SMA. Again, one of those big play names. Now I want to show you something really quick on NVIDIA, because this will give you some perspective. So one of the biggest positions we talked about in Discord, and I think I told Jay, I was like, this is the best position you've ever mentioned. This is one of the best, probably trade of the year. Okay. So we talked about the 100, I think it was, he got 95s. I just went to a 100 because I wanted him. The $100 in the money strikes. These things dropped like crazy. I mean, you were getting these it was crazy. It was crazy what you were buying these for, right? You go back to the beginning of August 5th. These are sitting at around 19 lows of $14. Currently at $35 with 2 years left. This is a few months left right here, right? You go to that's the 6 month left up there. You know, the 26s is what Jay was trading to, the 95s here. These got dirt cheap as well. They're currently at $52. These dropped all the way down towards 26, right? So the fact is, the opportunity that was there on some of these names is why I continue to say it, right? And what I'm trying to look at here, right? Because you're not risking that much, personally, in my opinion. Now, I look at something like AMD. I still like what AMD is doing. You can get a little more time here. Time might be your friend, but again, I think you're getting a lot of the IV already kicking in here. This is something I'm looking more of like a day or a swing trade as you're getting back above the daily. So when I go back in AMD, personally, I like 2 months out, 60-ish days. November's, I like the Octobers. Again, I think the 170s make a lot of sense. I think you can start moving with ease. Personal opinion, what I'm looking at there. You do have NVIDIA earnings next Wednesday, though. So it's one thing I will say, keep in the back of your mind, be careful, don't be a degenerate. That could be a bad idea. So what I'm looking at there as well. I mentioned Apple. I'm not going to go too much into the contracts because I've already mentioned everything I like there as well. Tesla, you're pushing back up, trying to get back above 226. I think this is a really easy trade as well. And I think all you really need to do is watch two major levels, your 200 daily and then your 200 weekly. Okay. And again, that's all you're really watching here. So I think you have room back into like 232. That's where I'd be targeting above 232. Get above that, you could start moving quickly into 250. So what I'd be watching right now, short term, 250, 232 is the target. What I'd be watching. A lot of people are gonna ask about NVIDIA, guys. Like, I've already gone over it a lot, but again, you're back in that territory of all-time highs, trying to get that push back. Do what you gotta do. I can't do too much there. Talked about it when it was at $100. Amazon remounted the 200 SMA. Mentioned this earlier. You're back at 180. Awesome name here. I don't like buying Amazon as much down here. I told you guys as well, as soon as they did the Temu, right? They did the Temu thing, right? That little deal they did where they kind of competitor to Temu and Shein, right? Absurd game changer for Amazon long-term viewpoints. I don't think I think shorter term there's better opportunities. I think long term, Amazon's a money pit. I think it makes a lot of money, and money's just going to dump into this thing. They're going to have to deal with TikTok and what they're doing there. I see this thing having explosive potential, but I see names like PDD and the names that are benefiting off of TikTok kind of getting hurt because now there's a new competition in town. So I do like Amazon and what's happening there, but I'm going to be pretty careful now. Down here, it made a lot of sense. I think it was very, very cheap. Some of these mid-cap names as well. Robinhood, right? Been talking a lot about these Robinhood. It's hitting our target on $20. Mentioned this in Discord the other day, right? Pretty big opportunity, pretty big name there, right? Back into 20 off those great earnings we were looking at there. And I want to highlight something because we're actually going to have quite a few spots open up this month in Discord. So I just want to say a few things. And the past month, I just haven't, since the beginning of August, haven't been active in Discord because obviously I haven't been home. I've been active on YouTube. I just haven't been able to do nothing. But I will say, I took a lot of the trades mentioned from Jordan, and Jordan had maybe some of the top trades ever. He had some phenomenal trades, right? We have different portfolio sizes, so my trades might have benefited me more than they benefited him. So it is what it is. But I want to highlight here, NVIDIA calling those out, the 100. I thought it was a line. We mentioned all of those, right? Trade ideas. I mean, there has not been a lack of trades mentioned here all month long. Now, maybe we took less trades on certain days, but again, you only take on the opportunities in front of you, right? And so the people that paid attention, shout out to everyone there in Discord that paid attention, and here on YouTube as well, or Twitter, etc. This guy made, a fat amount, right? Almost 10K off those NVIDIAs right there, right? Total, So again, I just gotta say this right now. If you pay attention, good things usually happen. And I know that I wasn't as active this month in Discord, but I'm obviously back to business. But there's gonna be spots that are gonna open up. Everyone needs to understand that. 15K in a day. But this is what I'm gonna say. take advantage. If you get those spots, you're able to join right when the month starts. Because again, and make sure, even if I'm not active, that's why I have Jordan. That's why I have a team, right? So we're always able to take advantage, and there's only people that I trust there. So again, Robinhood, big name, pushed back up. A name that I mentioned in the trade that I mentioned in Discord, what I mentioned specifically was Robinhood. For if you can hear crying in the back, it's my son. Probably Ali changing his diaper. But yeah, so really quick, I mentioned the $20 strikes for the beginning of the year, and those things are running crazy. So again, do what you gotta do, guys. I try to keep you guys posted as much as possible. Next one, Upstart, pushing into $41. Another big name that we mentioned, has room back into $50. Continue to push up as well. So again, these are basically all the names we really liked. I've mentioned CAVA as well. How are they doing from earnings? Pushing into 102, broke $100. Mentioned this name as well. They have earnings coming up. They're probably going to beat. So again, mid cap names look good as well. Biggest thing I can say right now, guys. Yeah, don't get frustrated if you missed out on a trade or an opportunity or this or that. Okay, more trades and more opportunities will show up. I promise you. But you also have to understand the risk and the reward that you're taking with all these trades. Like, what is it really worth it to be going after, a $2 move sometimes? Or am I really worried that I might not be buying the bottom in the grand scheme of things, right? But I'm getting a name like Nvidia dirt cheap, right? Do I really believe in what's happening there, what's going on, and can I make money, et cetera, right? Those are things that I'm always thinking about, right? And so I try to come as unbiased as possible here on the channel and break down things to the best of my viewpoint. And hopefully you guys can understand that and make some sense of it. But I hope you guys did well. I hope you guys have been taking advantage of this dip, because again, you don't get these dips all the time. Back here when we were going straight up, everyone wanted a dip, but when you finally got one, no one bought it. So it sucks. It is what it is. But we got bought back up quicker than we dropped. So pretty beautiful, pretty amazing. No doubt in my mind, they were most likely running back into all-time highs. But again, pretty happy with how we're moving and what's going on, especially with everything going on currently. The link to Mumu, our broker, our sponsor, is down below. Check them out. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Make sure you follow on Twitter for all those updates and posts. Let's get to work. See you again tomorrow.